friends, we are going into class 1 of module 5, and in this class we are going to study an introduction for economic load dispatch. So the module 5 is actually consisting of mainly two topics. One is economic load dispatch and the second one is the unit commitment. So today we will be going through an introduction for what is economic load dispatch. So the economic operation is very important for a power system to return a profit on the capital being invested. That means there should be a proper profit for the capital being invested. And this economic operation involves solution for two different problems. One is the unit commitment or pre-dispatch problem, and the second one is the online economic dispatch or minimum cost problem. And we are going to discuss with the first one, unit commitment or pre-dispatch problem, where a proper selection of generators which should be start up and which should be shut down and in which order is to be done. It is decided according to the required economics. This is done in unit commitment problem and or it is also known as the pre-dispatch problem. And this is done for meeting the daily load variation in the system. And one more thing is there the pre-dispatch problem means the selection is done according to a load data of the previous years. What was the load data in the previous years and how could we meet the load demands that is decided according to the previous data. That is why it is called as pre-dispatch problem. Okay, and the second one is an online economic dispatch or minimum cost problem. And here what is done is an online means minute to minute requirements of the system is being met using the online economic dispatch problem or minimum cost problem. Here it is required to distribute the load among the generating units which are parallel with the system in such a manner as to minimize the total cost of supplying the minute to minute requirements of the system. So according to the minute to minute changes in the load, to minimize the total cost of supplying, we have to properly distribute the load among the generating units. So that problem is being dealt in online economic dispatch problem. Okay, now we are going into details of what is economic load dispatch. In case of economic load dispatch, the generators are not fixed but are allowed to take values within certain limits so that it will be meeting the particular load demand with minimum fuel consumption. Okay, so it is not a fixed value is being not, there is a small limit in which the generations are being allowed. And the economic dispatch problem is really a solution of large number of load flow problems and choosing the optimal one which needs minimum cost of generation. So actually what is meant by the economic dispatch problem is, it is actually a solution for the number of load flow problems. We have studied load flow problems in module number 3. Different load flow problems have been discussed. So this economic dispatch problem is actually a solution of all the a number of such load flow problems and choosing the optimal one so that we can minimize the cost of generation. Okay, so from all these data, it might be understood that the cost of generation will depend upon the system constraints. Some constraints are there, some limits are being given. Okay, and the cost of generation will be directly depending upon these system constraints for a particular load demand. And this cost will not be fixed for a particular demand, but it depends upon the operating constraints of the source. So according to the operating constraints for a particular load, the cost will be varying. If the operating constraints are changing, then surely the cost will be also changing. Now, before going into further discussion about what is economic load dispatch, you should get a small idea about what is system constraint. Even though it is not particularly there mentioned inside the syllabus, you have to understand what is meant by system constraint. Then only we can move on to the economic load dispatch problem, neglecting losses and with losses. So what is meant by system constraint? Constraints can be mainly divided into two types. One is equality constraint and the second one is the inequality constraint. And inequality constraint again can be divided into hard type and soft type. Let's move on to the first one, equality constraint. These equality constraints you may be familiar, which we have studied already in the third module. in load flow analysis, we have already derived equations for the load flow equation, and these are the equality constraints. So equality constraints are basic load flow equations given by PP and QP. You may just go through that equation. We have already studied it in the module 3, where EP and FP are the real and the imaginary components of the voltages at the pth node. Okay, now what is GPQ and BPQ? It is already, we have already studied it. Nodal conductance and susceptance. Nodal conductance and susceptance of the qth node is mentioned as BPQ and GPQ. Okay, next we are moving into what is meant by inequality constraint. So as I already mentioned, inequality constraints are of two types. One is hard type and the second one is soft type. Hard type means it will be having a definite and specific constraint. It is a definite and specific constraint. For example, if you are having a tapping range on of an on-load tap changing transformer, it is a specific and definite one. The constraint is specific and definite. So such a type of inequality constraint is called a hard type. And what is meant by soft type? It is more flexible, like node voltages and phase angle between the node voltages. It is not a definite value. Okay, so soft inequality constraints have been very efficiently handled by penalty function methods, which we will be going through further. Okay, so next one, what are the different types of inequality constraints? I'll be just giving you some constraints only. I'm not going into a detailed explanation of each of them. Those who want a further study, you may go through the textbook. Okay, so generator constraints. There are different constraint, equality constraint. First one is generator constraint. So generator constraint means you can see PP square plus QP square, which should be always less than CP square. What is PP square plus QP square? It is the total power, that is the kVA loading of the generator, and it will be given by it is the square of the kVA rating of the generator, and it should be it should not exceed a pre-specified value CP. Okay, that is mentioned as this inequality constraint. Next one is PP minimum less than or equal to PP less than or equal to PP maximum, which means the power, generator power, it should not be it should be inside the limit of minimum and maximum. Similarly, the reactive power also should be inside this particular limit, QP minimum and QP maximum. Second one is the voltage constraint. The voltage constraint means it will be consisting of two constraints. One is the magnitude and the second one is the angle. So here you can see the constraints. Then next comes the running spare capacity. So what is meant by running spare capacity? The generator, it should be able to meet the forced outages of one or more alternators on the system. And one more, if there is any unexpected load in the system, that should be also met. So if there is any outage or if unexpected load is coming, then the generation should be meeting those load demand as well as that outage. So it is mentioned by G is greater than or equal to PP plus PSO, where PP is the actual load demand, okay, and PSO means this some pre-specified power. That means we are considering it as a spare capacity. Okay, so this should be the total generation should be greater than or equal to PP plus PSO. The next one is the transformer tap changing. For auto transformers, the tap changing should be in between 0 and 1. For two winding transformers, it should be between 0 and n. And the phase shifting transformers, the angle should be in between theta p minimum and maximum. So these are some of the constraints. Now, one transmission line constraint is also there. Transmission line constraint means CP value should be less than or equal to CP maximum, where CP is the maximum loading capacity of the pth line. If you are considering the pth line, the capacity of the pth line, the maximum capacity is P max, CP max. So always the transmission line should be having the active power and the thermal capability of the circuit CP should be always less than or equal to maximum capacity of the transmission line. Then the last one is network security constraint. So what is meant by network security constraint is if the system is normally operating in a proper satisfactory way, and suddenly there is an outage, okay, so all these constraints may be violated. So these complexity, every complexity under this constraint is coming under the network security constraint. So we don't need a further study of all these things. We are going into what is meant by incremental fuel curve. Okay, what is meant by incremental fuel curve? So if we are plotting a curve between fuel input in million British thermal units per hour to the power output in megawatt, then we will be obtaining an incremental fuel curve. Okay, so if we are mentioning the fuel input to a system, to a generator, and if it is mentioned in British thermal units per hour and the output is mentioned in megawatt, then you can see that there is a small curve in this one, and the slope of the curve will be mentioned as fuel input to the power output, and this is known as the heat rate of the system. Heat rate of the system. This is the maximum power and this is the minimum power, and this slope is mentioned as heat rate, and its unit is million British thermal units divided by megawatt hour. Okay, now from this curve itself we can make another curve which is known as the incremental fuel curve. So this is the point where we are in interest. Here we can obtain an incremental fuel cost with respect to the power output in the system. So according to the power output, what is the increment in the fuel cost that is obtained here? Okay, and the incremental fuel rate is obtained as delta input by delta output. Okay, as the incremental quantities tend to 0, we can express it as dF by dP, where F is the fuel input and P is the power output. Okay, so then now the incremental cost, if it is normally represented in rupees per megawatt hour, and it is obtained by incremental fuel rate, because incremental fuel rate is already expressed in dollars per megawatt hour divided by megawatt. So we can convert it into the rupees value as by multiplying the incremental fuel rate with the fuel cost in rupees per British BTU, British thermal unit. Then incremental efficiency is mentioned as the reciprocal of the incremental fuel rate, which is equal to output by input is equal to dP by dF, where dP is the incremental output and dF is the incremental input, that is fuel input. Okay, by this we are completing the introduction part. So we will be studying further about the first topic, that is distribution of load between units within a plant, in the next class. Thank you very much. Hope you understood everything. Stay safe, stay home.